So moving away from expensive legacy, well, as you know, any of you have been around anywhere near as long as I have in the world of monitoring, there's some big players software-wise who've been selling software to us IT folks for many years. Those big American companies, for instance. I'm not naming names, but you can imagine who they are. And we had a long built-up relationship with those software suppliers. But in recent years, it's become less essential to pay that, I don't know, what you might call a premium price for premium products that get bespoke to your every need. You become very reliant on them, and you start to bring in additional functions. We found the monitoring tool was deploying code, not just taking snapshots, which OpsView does, of course, in the network space, but also deploying code, which functionally doesn't live in the world of monitoring, certainly not anymore. So I needed to, that's where I'm using the word simplification, to simplify, to have one tool to monitor both network and server, to get rid of some of these additional functions. And to move off of these vendors who also weren't very helpful when it came to renegotiating on price. It just seemed to go up every year, or they weren't really interested in talking about ramp downs or help us move to a new vendor. Now that wasn't a conversation they were interested in. So we needed to move away from these expensive legacy tools. And we needed to move to the cloud.
But yeah, speaking of which, so just I think we've probably got time for one more question. Got another one here around legacy tools. Not sure if you're able to, but asking if you're able to share who those vendors are. This person says we have some of our environment on Spectrum and are struggling to get support, and so just keen to understand a bit more about who you moved from.
Spectrum, yeah. Yes, what we call CA Spectrum, but of course CA Computer Associates don't own Spectrum anymore. So this is what happens with these legacy vendors. I'm picking on them, but it seems you say Spectrum. So they sell them to a company called Broadcom, who, they specialize in taking on software and taking on those existing clients and repeat business, which, you can't blame them for that. So year on year, license renewal, and yeah, you try and negotiate a change or a reduction or with Broadcom, and you might find you had similar to us. So yes, we've used OpsView to take over what Spectrum does.